Welcome back, my beautiful people. This is going to be part 6 of my 7-part video on starting a short-term rental management company from scratch. If you recall from part 5, in part 5, we talked about PMS systems, and then within PMS system, we talked about some of the technology used for guest communication, enhancing that guest experience. Today, we're going to do a deep dive into that guest experience and guest satisfaction, and oftentimes hosts or short-term rental operators forget that they are in the hospitality industry. And when you're in the hospitality industry, you really need to be customer focused or customer service focused. In the short-term rental industry is no exception. Really need to focus on enhancing that guest experience, because that is going to be crucial in ensuring that you not only attract guests, because without guests you have no business, but you attract guests that you can retain and guests that will give you referrals and write you those critical reviews that you need in order to be pushed or enhance your business. And when I say push, in order to be pushed in the platforms on the first or second page. Let's talk about that process, right? The guest experience really begins when they send you an inquiry. And when they send you that inquiry, it is imperative that you reply as quickly as possible. Hence why, again, going back to step 5, the PMS system, hence why during that video, I talked about things like automating your messages and or, if possible, using AI to serve as a supplement to your customer service. Now, I'm a big fan of AI, as I mentioned last time. And the reason I'm a big fan of AI is because AI learns. It learns, it is being used. So it actually, with time, and we're experiencing that now in our business, it actually gives a better reply than a staff member will, right? Especially if it's a busy day. As a customer service rep, if you're constantly being bombarded by inquiries and questions, it's human nature to be a little short. When you use an AI, that doesn't happen, right? Everything comes in, they reply in a quick fashion, and oftentimes that reply is, especially with us, which our AI is really customer based, it really replies in terms and uses terms and terminology that enhances that guest experience. Very important. This is why I'm a big fan of AI. But if you can't afford AI, then the next big step is to use automated messages, because inquiry comes in, statistics and data will tell you first person that communicates with that potential guest most likely will get that booking. So your conversion rate really high when you respond quickly. And responding, especially responding quickly, is so important that platforms like Airbnb actually tells the potential guest when you send a message what your response time is. And if it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour, your guest is going to know, hey, especially if you have a habit of not responding like an hour or so after. I can tell you from personal experience, when I send a message and Airbnb tells me that expected response time or this host response time is over an hour and they don't reply right away, I just move on to the next one. They lose me as a potential customer when they do that. Point number 1 is that guest experience really begins at the inquiry. Now, that guest books, now we have what I refer to as the pre-arrival experience. Within that pre-arrival experience, there's a couple of things that you need to understand. Number 1, let's talk about your booking website. Again, hopefully, because if you follow this channel, I beat this drum all the time, is that you have a direct booking website. Let's say a potential guest finds you on your booking site. That booking site needs to be user-friendly and it needs to be mobile-friendly. More and more people are using their phones. In fact, I believe the studies are as high as 50+% of potential short-term rental guests have booked their property using their smartphone. So having a website that's mobile-friendly is going to be very important for conversion. In addition, that streaming process or booking process needs to be streamlined. It needs to be easy. One of the reasons why Airbnb has been so successful, not just because of their marketing power, but because their platform is one of the easiest platforms to book on. Having a seamless, quick process for a guest is going to be important to enhance that guest experience. Next thing about what I refer to as the pre-arrival experience is your transparency. Be as detailed and as clear as possible as to what a guest can expect if they book your property. I'm going to give you a for example. Because because we have such a large portfolio of properties, and because we are a decent sized company, I don't have one person managing everything, right? I'm not the person receiving the inquiries, answering the inquiries, guest relations, none of that stuff. And there's a team that is used to communicate with our guests as that gets experience. But as such, we also have additional steps for people to take when they book our property. Now, we do this for safety, for security, and for, as a business, to get better accountability, but we are very clear about that. So for example, we have a pre-registration process, and we articulate that, and it's clear in our listing that if you book with us, you're going to have to go through a pre-registration process that includes presenting your ID, the names of your guests, etc. Plus, we have a mandatory deposit that's required. That's also clear and is transparent within our listing. Now, is it perfect? No. Oftentimes, not oftentimes, but there are people that don't read, and they'll book the property, and after the book, when we send them the link for the registration, they're asking, why do I have to pre-register when I already registered with Airbnb? You know, if had they read the listing before they booked, they would have found out why and that we require it, right? The biggest thing here is that you as a company need to express that you are not Airbnb, you're not booking, you're not verbal. You're just advertising on their platforms. And once you get that booking, they have to apply by your policies. Again, the important part here is that you're transparent about those policies. The next, in terms of your communication, is to personalize it. I've already talked about AI. AI will make that personalized, especially as time goes on, because AI actually learns about your business and how you want your customer service reps to communicate with the guests. But if you don't have that, all you have at the bare minimum is these automated messages that you can create through the platforms and through your website or through your PMS system. Try to personalize those messages as much as possible. Obviously, because they're automatic messages and they're not really reading what's being asked, very difficult to do, but it can be done, and try to make that as personalized as possible. Next is what I refer to as the arrival or check-in experience. This, my friends, can go a long way into the customer satisfaction part before they open your door, right? It's important that you, throughout that process, you're communicating, right? As always, just like with anything and any relationship, in this case, the relationship between the host and the customer, the key to any successful relationship is communication, communication, communication. So by communicating with them on a consistent basis will make this process easier and run smoothly. So for example, with us, the codes are not active until the time of check-in, and oftentimes we don't even send the codes until the day of arrival. But we need to communicate that, because other hosts don't do that, and a lot of people expect to receive everything once they book. We don't do that, but we communicate that, and we're constantly communicating the fact on how we operate as time goes on. So having that is important. Once they get to your property, what's important is getting them to your property. Here's what I mean by that. I can't tell you how many short-term rentals I've stayed at in which it was very difficult to find the property, especially when you're traveling international or when you're in places like Guatemala, Ecuador, Colombia, and you're in the outskirts like La Zona Cafetera, where finding an address is difficult. What I recommend here is always send a video or at least a detailed instruction in written form on how to find and get to your property, because having the address alone may not work. Another example for us is my vineyard in Georgia. My vineyard in Georgia has an address, but if you Google that or you try to use Google Maps to get there, you won't get there, you won't find it. It'll take you someplace different. My property in Davie, which is where I'm at today, same with this property. You Google the address or use Google Maps for the address, it's going to take you to the park next door. It's not going to take you here. Knowing that, if you know that people will have issue finding your place, doing a video instruction on how to get there using photos and using written instructions is going to be critical. You should definitely be doing that. Once they get to your door, how to use your lock is also very important. And I'm a big fan of video, and I'm going to give you a reason why. As you know, if you're following this channel, in the last couple of months, and we're booked for the next couple of months, we've been doing a lot of Airbnb optimizations for other hosts. I just came back from Puerto Rico, in which a host hired me to help him market, and help him optimize his current listing. So I booked it like a normal guest would book, so I can see what their experience is and see if I can optimize that or make that process more smooth. And clearly there were a lot of issues. So one of the issues was their lock, which was a keyless entry lock, which is good, but entering the code, once you enter the code, you had to hit the name of the lock is at the bottom. And in the center was a button that lights up. Well, let me take it back. He had instructions as to, it's a code, gave me the code, and it says you have to push the button, right? Doesn't say what button, just said push the button. So when I get there, I entered the code and I pushed the center button, because there's a center button there. And the code wasn't working. The issue was that it wasn't an actual button that you had to press. It was actually the name at the bottom of the lock, the name of the lock, which was located at the bottom. Now, there's no indicator that that's an actual button, but I had to communicate, ask the host, hey, can you give me clear instructions that I'm pushing? And I sent a video of what I was doing. This is what I'm doing. Can you tell me what I'm doing wrong? Because it's not opening the lock. Where it turns out that the button that I was pushing wasn't really a button. It was a fingerprint biometric button to open it without having to do the code. Well, that wasn't mentioned and it wasn't explained, hence why I had to call the host, send a video. When he saw the video, he told me, no, the mistake you're making is you're not hitting the name. So once I hit the name, I gained entry. But that's a great example of what I mean of being as detailed as possible, but more importantly, providing video instructions so people can actually see what it is you're doing. Not everyone communicates in Spanish or English, and you may have a foreign guest that doesn't really understand Spanish or English, and for them, it'll be even more difficult if you don't have some type of video instructions. And let's move on to the next, which is what I refer to as the in-stay experience. So here, the key here is to provide comfort and, more importantly, convenience. And the reason I say convenience is more important and I hesitate on mentioning comfort is because comfort is subjective. And I mentioned this multiple times on other videos. What's comfortable for me may not be comfortable for the next person. I'll give you a couple of examples. Some people like the AC to be at 65. People like it at 78. Some people like it somewhere in between. Some people like a firm mattress. Some people like a soft mattress. So comfort is subjective. But the idea here in terms of comfort is, and the way I refer to it is, don't be extreme one way or the other. Find a happy medium. So for example, if we're referring to temperature, we keep it at, because we use a range. We don't let guests go outside of our range, but the range is, and the reason why we use that range is because for the health and maintenance of the actual AC unit. So we don't let the AC go below 70, and oftentimes in some places it's 72, but we don't let it go below 70, and we don't let it go higher than 78. You want to stay within 70 and 78. Again, those that like it below 70, which is rare, it's pretty chilly to be in a home at 65, are few. And those that like it warmer than 78 are also a minority. We want to focus and try to accommodate the majority of people, right? Your comfort, as is referenced that I'm about to tell you, is the following. Give them the comfort of amenities. And the comforts of amenities include a decent sized television, a coffee station with a decent sized array of coffee maker, tea kettle, well-equipped kitchen, everything you need cooked to bake. Spend some time in your property. The comfort of having enough silverware, glasses, cups, champagneware. We even provide kids dishware for little kids like sippy cups, etc. That will give your guests the comfort that I'm referring to when I mention comfort, right? And then it goes without saying, even though I have to mention this because guests don't put a high emphasis on this, and having a well-maintained maintenance home and a clean home is critical. Your quality control on that needs to be top notch. You need to make sure that every crust, everything, the ceilings, no cobwebs, and the light fixtures, it just has to be clean, people. And it needs to be well maintained. There shouldn't be broken stuff in your property.